are here to talk about my most anticipated reads for the rest of 2023. 3 videos like this for each year, and the last one is always a little lighter than the first ones because, I don't know, there's just not as many things that come out in the back half of the year that intrigue me the way that the front half of the year does. So for whatever reason, fewer books to get through, but some very exciting ones nonetheless. I'm going to break this actually into 3 categories. 1 are books I'm anticipating because I'm already reading in the series. 2 is books I'm anticipating because I've read from the author before. And 3 is just generally books that intrigue me. So I also wanted to mention a few that have gotten pushed from 2023 to 2024 that I had on my list. So the finale to the Rebecca Roanhorse Black Sun trilogy, Mirrored Heavens, is coming out next August. Originally it was set for this August, but now it's next August, whatever. Keep me waiting, it's fine, Rebecca. Silverborn, which is the next in the Morrigan Crow series, got pushed to next year. I think the Amari book is gonna come out next year as opposed to this year. Notes are not totally clear on that one, as well as How to Get Heard by Roxane Gay, just because neither of those have covers. And at this point, if they were actually coming out, it says on the website when they're coming out, surely we would have covers by now. So there's that. And then One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole is next year, which is a thriller. So originally it had a this year release date, but I think it's actually next year. So those are 2024 books, but let's for now talk about 2023, shall we? Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the books that are coming out this year that are continuations of series that I'm already reading in, and that is why I'm excited about them or anticipating them. Dance of Smoke and Steel by Mila Vane. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high because this has been pushed like 4 or 5 times. Theoretically, it's coming out in November, but we'll see. It's the end of a fantasy romance series trilogy. There's a novella, but now it seems like it's a trilogy, and it's barbarian romance. So if that's something that's intriguing to you, Mila Vane is a pen name for Mel Jean Brooke, and I love her stuff under either pen name. System Collapse by Martha Wells is the next Murderbot diary entry, which is a kind of voice-driven, character-driven sci-fi adventure novella series that I absolutely love. The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan is the latest entry in the Percy Jackson series, which I didn't think we were going to get any more of, so this is very exciting. And it is set after Heroes of Olympus, but before the Trials of Apollo, from what I understand. So I believe that I am in a position to read it because that's where I'm at this point. I'm assuming it also is coming out to promote the series, but we'll see. I know SAG and WGA are on strike, so I should not even get it. I don't even want to tread into those waters, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree is coming out, which is a prequel to Legends and Lattes. I have actually already read this one, and I can tell you I do think that it's really fun. For me, it wasn't as good as the original because I think some of the tension is gone because it's a prequel, but it's still very charming. It has more plot in it in some ways than the first one did, so if that was your quibble, FYI. That is a thing. Maybe a little higher stakes for you to enjoy. Chaos Terminal by Mur Lafferty is a follow-up to her kind of sci-fi Miss Marple-esque mystery series she kicked off last year, which I had some problems with, but the setup was so fun and I really like Mur Lafferty's writing a lot, so I'm definitely willing to continue in the series to see if I can get into the groove of it a little bit more. And in September we have our annual September release and the In-Depth series from JD Robb. This entry is called Payback in Death. And yeah, you guys know that I'm an absolute stan for JD Robb, so it's a police procedural, but it is set in the near future, and it is based around 2 characters who have an ongoing romance. They've been married for, we're on book like 58 or something. They've been married for more than 50 books at this point, so it's not sort of like a will they won't they, but it's more like married life romance, which is nice. And yeah, I absolutely love that series. So that's coming out. Monstrous number 8, that bind up, which is called Inferno, comes out in November, I want to say, which I absolutely love. Monstrous. It's one of my all-time fantasy series, I would say, at this point. So I'm really excited to get a new entry in it. I got all caught up with it, so that was exciting because that means I can just enjoy them as they come out. And then the last one, but certainly not least, is Mammoths at the Gate by Nevo. This is coming out in, it'll tell me somewhere on here, September. There you go. This comes out in September, and it's the latest entry in the Singing Hills cycle, which is a fantasy novella series that is a lot about storytelling. It is set in a Asian inspired fantasy world, and this is my favorite entry in the series. Actually, I gave this 5 stars and I can't wait for people to read it, so very excited for this. So those are series continuations. In terms of books that I'm excited about because I have read from the author before, so there's a few, I have mixed feelings about some of these. Some of these I've already read and liked. Some of these I'm gonna read, but I am not sure about. So Dark Corners technically already came out as a Book of the Month Club pick, but doesn't actually come out until August. I should mention the criteria for this was any books released in August or later. Anyway, so Dark Corners is a thriller. Technically, this is a continuation of a series, but like I don't think of it that way, so I didn't include it in that section. This is a follow-up to Night Swim by Megan Golden, and it is a mystery thriller that is like based around true crime podcast vibe. In this case, there is a serial killer and a missing girl plot that are coalescing together, and I thought this was absolutely so entertaining. So if you're looking for a fun, just entertaining thriller, I would recommend this one. Inheritance by Nora Roberts is the beginning of a new paranormal trilogy from her, so a paranora, as we would call them. It has something to do with like a haunted house or a ghost story, and I'm so on the speculative vibe from Nora Roberts, so we'll see. But I am doing Reading Roberts, which is my project where I'm trying to read every single Nora Roberts book ever. So for that reason, I will read this at some point. Not sure, TBD basically, if I'm going to read it this year or if I will wait, but I am anticipating it because it is another book on my perpetual list of Nora Roberts books that is ever growing every single year. Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher is a novella that is a dark fantasy retelling of the Sleeping Beauty myth. I enjoyed it. I think that it was a little weird in terms of its pacing. It's not the most successful version of that story that I could imagine, but I love T. Kingfisher's writing. I love her imagination. I love her storytelling. So for me, I did really enjoy this one, but I can see some flaws in it. I enjoy the story in spite of those flaws that I kind of see in the way that she did some flashbacks and stuff. And then in October, there is a new Peter Swanson novella, I believe, coming out called The Christmas Guest. And it seems like it's going to be some version of an isolated close circle mystery, which is my absolute catnip. It says, a spectacularly spine-chilling novella in which an American art student in London is invited to join a classmate for the holidays at Starwood Hall, her family's Cotswold Manor house. But behind the holly and pine boughs, secrets are about to unravel, revealing the seemingly charming English village's grim history. Sounds like a very Mara kind of book, and that is why it's on my list. I have read and enjoyed some stuff from Peter Swanson before. He's not a auto read for me because not all of his plots appeal to me. And I know that some people really don't like some of the books of his that I do find pretty enjoyable, but I think of him as pure entertainment. I don't think of him as having like the best. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue to you that Peter Swanson is the best mystery thriller writer out there right now, but his books, the ones that have plots that appeal to me, have always entertained me so far. And that's really my biggest criteria. So there you go. Then Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. So I did enjoy In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And this is the first book from her besides that where the synopsis sounds interesting to me. So in this one it says it's a gothic southern thriller about a killer haunting a small Louisiana town where two outcasts, the preacher's daughter and the boy from the wrong side of the tracks, hold the key to uncovering the truth. So I think that The only thing that makes me pause is it says, for fans of Verity and A Flicker in the Dark. You guys know how I felt about Verity. But it says it's a twisted tale of murder, obsessive love, and the beastly urges that lie dormant within us all. So I think, you know, it's religion, it's small town secrets. There's enough here that I think that it could be a book for me, that it's definitely kind of on my radar for that reason. Anything else I need to highlight here? Oh, City of Bones. Grab it from my little pile here. City of Bones by Martha Wells, who has had a lot of stuff coming out from Tor this year, it feels like, but okay. She already had one fantasy novel come out called Witch King, which I enjoyed. This is a re-release of an old fantasy novel from her called City of Bones, and it is, let's see here. I think it's got like, let's see here. There's a Cod, a member of a humanoid race created by the ancients to survive in the waste, and Saigai, his human partner, are relic dealers working in the bottom tiers of society. And let's see here. They soon find themselves as the last line of defense between the suffering masses of Kristarat and a fanatical cult bent on unleashing an evil upon the city. So I think what Martha Wells does really well is she creates characters that are super, for me at least, enjoyable. I get really invested in her character work, and her premises are always interesting to me as well. So those are kind of her two strengths. We'll see how I do with the plot on this one, and since it is a re-release, I'm trying to keep my expectations managed, because fantasy, which I think this came out in like the 90s, fantasy in the 90s is very different than it was today, than it is today, and I don't know if they've done any editing, so see how that goes. But I'm very interested to see what this is like, her kind of like earlier stuff. And then I guess the last one I'll mention is There Should Have Been 8 by Nalini Singh. You guys know that if you watch this channel, I am an absolute Nalini Singh stan. My first season of my podcast was all about her Side Changeling series, and she has started dabbling in these thrillers, both of which, the two that have already come out, I enjoyed both of them quite a bit. So I'm excited for a new one from her that is an isolation trope. I'm so excited. So it's a remote estate in the the New Zealand Alps. It hosts a reunion no one will forget. 7 friends, one last weekend, a mansion, no room for lies. Someone is going to confess because there should have been 8. So I feel like it's an isolation thriller, and it's one of my all-time favorite authors, like a top 5 author for me. She doesn't give us these thrillers that often, but when she does, they are so good. So I am beyond excited. I have an advanced copy of that one, and I cannot wait to read it. And then finally, my last category is books that are just kind of on my radar that sound intriguing. So one that I'm definitely going to read is Death I Gave Him by M.X. Liu. This is I believe it's a debut. Thank you to Solaris for sending it to me. And it is a Hamlet retelling sci-fi that is also a locked room murder mystery. These are all buzzwords that I'm very excited about. It's also not super long, which I think is very promising. Can I just say one thing I'm realizing more and more is I just don't like long books very often anymore. I want them short. I want them to I love a novella. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, that's a side note. I am very excited about this. I think this is going to be super fun, very entertaining, and a lot of good buzzwords for me personally, so I have high hope. Let's see. Fit for the Gods by, which is edited by Jen Northington, is a collection of Greek myth retellings, but from different cultural perspectives, like gender bending, queer, it's purposefully incorporating a lot of diversity. Alyssa Cole has a story in it, so I'm excited about that. But most of these are authors I haven't read from before, but some authors I've meant to read from, I guess I technically have read from Zoraida Cordova. But anyway, there's several authors in there that intrigue me, and the concept of this collection I think sounds really good. Plus the cover is absolutely gorgeous. So there you go. People to Follow by Olivia Worley is another isolation thriller. Take a shot. And it is a YA retelling of And Then There Were None, but a bunch of influencers set on a reality competition show. So it reminds me of Never Coming Home in terms of sort of the setup or buzzwords around it, but I'm very intrigued by it. I have an advanced copy. It comes out in October. This has a lot of things in it that equal the kind of book that I would enjoy. My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine I really enjoyed. Think of it as sort of like Pride and Prejudice meets, I don't know, like somebody pretending not to be a vampire, like somebody pretending to not be magical. It just was very, very funny to me. It's a rom-com, like the humor worked for me, character dynamics worked for me. I just thought this one was super fun. I think it's a debut. If not, I definitely haven't read from Jenna Levine before, and I just thought it was a super fun speculative romance. The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. I've been meaning to try Tananarive Due, and this might be the one I try her with. She's a horror author that I've heard really good things about, and this particular one says that it's a gripping page-turning novel set in Jim Crow, Florida, that follows Robert Stevens Jr. as he's sent to a segregated reform school that is a chamber of terrors where he sees the horrors of racism and injustice for the living and for the dead. So I am intrigued by that as a setup for a horror novel. I am not totally sure. I kind of want to see the reviews of it before I commit, because I really want to make sure that my first outing with that author is a good one. So we'll see. Not totally sure if I'm going to read that or not, but it is on my radar as a possibility. And then the last one is, I believe that this has already come out in the UK, but this is the US release, The Cliff House by Christopher Brockmeyer. I have an advanced copy of this one, and it's another isolation. It's another isolated closed circle mystery. Okay, guys, I'm very easy to please. It doesn't take a lot. It says 1 hen weekend, 7 secrets, but only 1 worth killing for. Jen's hen party is going to be out of control. She rented a luxury getaway on its own private island. The helicopter won't be back for 72 hours. They are alone, they think. So there you go. Anyway, so those are the things that are on my radar for the rest of the year. Like I said, this isn't as long of a list as some of the earlier ones in this series, but as things come out, there are fewer things to anticipate, but plenty of exciting books ahead of me for the rest of the year. Let me know if I'm missing any ones. I always feel like when I do these lists, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing some big release that I'm supposed to be anticipating and I just have forgotten about it. So let me know if something has fallen off of my radar that needs to get put back on there. Let me know if there's any other books that you're excited about for the rest of 2023. This means that the next time we do an anticipated book video, we will be looking forward to 2024. Wow, that feels really wild to say, but that's where we're at. So let me know if any of these sound good to you. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!